I want to welcome everybody to our Sabbath meeting. We're really happy that we were able to live stream and that you can join us. Wherever you are in the world, those of us who are here in person in Martinique, we welcome you to as you join us. Well, we can't see everybody yet, but we'll show you everyone here at the end. Let's open with a word of prayer. Holy God, we thank you that right across the world we can pause and come together. We can fellowship with you wherever we are, whatever we're doing. Some of us have questions that need answering. Some of us need our faith re-established and confirmed. Others are lonely and need to feel part of a family. Some are sad, some are happy. Whatever our experience is, whatever our needs, we thank you that we can be here now, that you can respond to us individually and corporately. In Jesus' name, Amen. Thank you. For just a technical thing, I can't hear anybody on Zoom. I'm not connected. That's just for the translators. I received a couple of questions from the members here in Martinique. 3 questions. I wanted to just spend the beginning of our class answering those if I can. I would just want to spend the beginning of our time together addressing those 3 questions if I'm able to. Question 1. How can we avoid being seduced? So I assume that the question's dealing with seduction in a spiritual connotation. With respect to what's going on at the end of the world. We know that the agencies of evil are coming together into a confederation. Alan White's expression of that term means something very different to us today. Compared what it meant to her when she penned that statement. She said the agencies of evil are combining their forces and consolidating. And they are strengthening for the last great crisis. Now, those agencies of evil that she speaks of, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on who she's referring to or speaking about. For me, a simple explanation of that group that she refers to here is the threefold union: Catholicism, apostate Protestantism, and spiritualism. It's my understanding that the agencies of evil that are actually working today are very different. And it's not those three entities, but definitely not the way Ellen White understood them. So when we speak about being seduced, deceived, I guess I would want to go to two passages that we've been speaking about frequently. So in our answer, we'll go to Revelation 17 and Revelation 13. So these are passages that we've been speaking about quite a lot recently. In 17, it's verse 2. And in chapter 13, verse 14. So in chapter 17, speaks about being made drunk. And in chapter 13, speaks about being deceived. So many people in the world are going to be made drunk, are going to be deceived. And we could go to another passage that we're all familiar with, Revelation 14, verse 9. And this is about receiving the mark of the beast. So I'm going to suggest that receiving the mark, being made drunk, being deceived, are all speaking essentially about the same group of people. And the question is, how can we avoid being part of this group? A passage that we used to go to frequently is in the Old Testament. It's Daniel chapter 12. So, Daniel's a big book. There's lots to understand. And even by the time we get to the very end, Daniel is still asking questions. And part of the discussion that's going on in chapter 12 specifically, Daniel is asking questions of the visitor that's come from heaven that's talking to him. You can see this in verse 5. Daniel's able to see people in vision. And in verse 6, in the last part of the verse, a question's asked, not by Daniel. So this is a rhetorical question. How long shall it be to the end of these wonders? And just want to go back to verse 4, because it says that Daniel is to seal or shut up the words. It uses the word shut up in the King James, but it means to seal. Shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. It pauses there in the King James, but the implication is that after the time of the end, many shall run to and fro. It doesn't state it explicitly. So at the time of the end, there's going to be an explosion of information, or as it says here, an increase of knowledge. So we've read verse 4 and we've looked at verse 6. And we'll just very simply draw out what's in verse 4. This is the period of darkness, and this is the time of the end. And from this point forward, there's an increase of knowledge. And this is a line that we're all very familiar with. In the context of this passage, we know that this period of darkness is the 1260, 538 to 1798. So there's going to be this explosion of knowledge, and then connected with this says, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? Verse 7 is the response to that question. And I don't know if somebody has an idea when it says that wonders, what these wonders are. Of what the wonders are, what it's referring to. So I just want to, this is in verse 6. Daniel 12:6. It speaks about the end of the wonders. We all have an idea of what the word wonder means. I would say wonderful, something great and magnificent, often has that connotation. But I want us to see that it's not that. I'm going to tie Daniel 12:6 to Revelation 17:6. So there are two verses that we're going to connect. Revelation 17:6. And we're going to see the same word. And here, John wonders. So John wonders in 17:6. And there's going to be all these wonders that are happening that are referred to in Daniel 12:6. In in chapter 17, verse 6, Revelation, it says, I wondered with great admiration. Now, the word wonder can mean several different things. I want to suggest in these passages that we've referred to, it's speaking about the great conflict that comes upon the church. There are various reasons for this conflict that comes upon the church. We would understand this to be the Dark Ages. The Dark Ages happens for various reasons. So this conflict that's going on in the Dark Ages, we see the conflict clearly in another passage, which is Revelation 12. We see a woman giving birth, and then her child is attacked. The child escapes, then the woman is attacked, and she escapes. And she escapes to a place called the wilderness. And we understand the wilderness is the same period, the 1260. So this conflict, this wonder, persecution of God's people in the 1260 happens for two reasons. Satan wants to destroy the church because they're good. It's one. And the second is the church, God's church, isn't good. And God will punish the church. And that punishment that comes upon the church is going to be executed or delivered by what we would call the papacy. We will just call Rome. Could call it Babylon. Who are the people of the east and the north. And if it's the people from the north, their king is called the king of the north. So the king of the north will punish God's people sent by God for one purpose: to purify the church. So let's summarize. There's going to be a time of persecution, which we call the 1260. Its purpose is to purify the church. That's one version of that story. Another version is Satan, the dragon of Revelation 12, wants to destroy or annihilate the church. God will protect the church from that persecution. Both versions are correct. At the end of that purification process, once Satan has had an opportunity to expose himself, come to the time of the end, that 1260 has damaged the church. They have been hurt, wounded, and the church has been seduced. It's been harmed. So the question is, how do you heal a damaged or broken church? It's been seduced. The answer is through knowledge. We would say through the truth. The truth will set you free. That concept that we're all familiar with is the same that's being brought to view in Daniel 12, when it says in verse 4, there shall be an increase of knowledge. Truth. So, the way to be protected so that you're not made drunk, you're not deceived, or seduced is to receive this increase of knowledge, the truth. A message will arrive at the time of the end, and it will tell you what you can do, what you must do to protect yourself for what's about to come in the next dispensation. Because this next dispensation is vital. The time of the end. So, the time of the end, as marked on the board, isn't the end, it's the beginning. So, what we should call it, is the beginning of the end. So, if you think the Dark Ages was bad, things are about to get worse. Why? Because Satan knows that their time is short. And they will consolidate these agencies of evil so that they will win. If you know that your protection is knowledge, you know that the attack, as we have taught for a long time now, is connected to information. Currently call it information warfare. It's a war about ideology or ideas. That's what the drunkenness is. Revelation 17. It's also what the deception is. Revelation 13. We discussed this in the previous class. These miracles are not supernatural. They're connected to this idea of information warfare. The time of the end is the start of the end. So this is the end. And then you get a shut door. Our only protection, so that we will not be seduced, is to accept the message that comes at the time of the end. The only place, the only place that you can receive this information is in this movement. And we should not be deceived, seduced by the lie that there isn't much difference between what we teach or what the world teaches or what the church teaches. There is no safety, only danger, which will cause harm to you and your loved ones if you venture into the world or if you venture into the church. Both places will ensnare you. you'll go onto enchanted ground because both options offer you no information. There is no truth to be found in the world or in the church. The only place you can find protection and safety so that you're not seduced is to remain in this movement. And if you were to do that, remain here and be engaged, interested in this information, I would suggest, based upon these prophetic models, that you cannot be seduced. Any other position besides remaining in the movement and loving the truth exposes you to the danger of seduction. So I hope I've answered that question. How can we avoid being seduced? We remain in this movement. We don't play around with the world and the people of the world, and neither do we engage with the church and toy around with them. Question 2. Why is this beast that comes up out of the earth still alive? So, for those of us who are not sure, to make sure that we're all on the same page, including me, it's the beast that comes up out of the earth. Why is it still alive? Now, this may appear to be a simple question, but it's quite complicated, in fact. We have to draw in many concepts, truths, ideas in order to understand this. So, Alan White will tell you there will be a threefold union, and this threefold union, one of the elements of that union will be this beast. Before we get to that, let's go to Revelation 13. And we'll be in verse 11. So we're in Revelation 13:11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. This is the beast that's being referred to in the question. It had two horns like a lamb and spake as a dragon. Adventists, people in the movement and people in the movement have looked at this verse and tried to understand what it means. People have had different ideas. Most people will lean on Ellen White's interpretation of this verse and go no further. Others will try to investigate it and try to understand what it really means. I have my own thoughts and ideas, like others do. Before we go there, to for me to share what my thoughts are, step back. Question is about the beast that comes up out of the earth. It's this beast in chapter 13, verse 11. So I've identified the beast. So I'll just put a tick here. And then we just have to understand why it's still alive. But before we do that, I want us to go to Daniel 2. So Daniel 2 is a story about the fall of Babylon. We might say the second angel's message, Babylon is fallen. We're all familiar with the chapter. We know it's a dream. We know that Nebuchadnezzar thinks his kingdom's going to last forever and God's going to show Nebuchadnezzar something different. So we're in verses beginning verse 31. We're in the 30s now. So I'll just put verse 31. So Daniel's going to begin to explain the dream. 32. Head. Gold. Agree with that? 33. Legs. Oh, sorry, 30. Yeah, sorry, 32. Head of gold. Still in 32. I'm just going to it says breast and arms. I'm just going to say body. If you're okay with body. Body of silver. Stomach. Let's call that chest, not body. Of brass. So we've got stomach and thighs of brass. 33. Legs of iron. And 33 ending, it says feet of iron. and clay. So that's the image. And if we were to count, we've got 1 gold, 2 silver, 3 brass, 4 iron, 5 iron and clay. There are 5 specific body parts mentioned: head, chest, stomach, legs, feet. So I want us to see 5. And then I want us to see an inconsistency. After mentioning 5 body parts, we'll drop down to verse 39. They tell us, after you, Babylon, the head of gold. So the head, it says, after you shall arise another kingdom. That's the silver. So we'll do the metal, the material, not the body part. After you, gold. So comes someone else, silver, and another third. And it actually will tell you that that's brass in verse 39. Brass is what number? Tells you in the verse. 3. Silver must be 2. And gold must be 1. Verse 40. It says the fourth, it gives you the number, iron. And then, if you go down to anywhere, you'll only see 4. Not 5. 5 body parts, 4 materials. I've put verse 40, but it goes into verse 41. So what I want us to see is that even though there are 5 body parts, there are only 4 kingdoms and 4 metals. Hopefully we're okay with that. So you will see that number 4, the Iron Kingdom, is different to all the other ones that came before it. Because the Iron Kingdom comes in how many parts? 2 parts. Iron comes in 2 parts. Part 1, legs. That was number 4. Remember, I put number 4 there. That's iron. Part 2, which was the feet. Call that number 5. That's iron plus clay. Not going to discuss the clay. Just want us to see that it's in 2 parts. And this is the fourth kingdom. And it's the last kingdom. No more after that. So, I want us to see that the fourth kingdom comes in two parts. Now, when you go to Revelation 17, it gets complicated. Because you're not going to have four kingdoms, you're going to have seven. So in Revelation 17, there are seven kingdoms. We want to focus on the first five. Anybody have an idea what the first five kingdoms are? Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, pagan Rome, and everyone's going to say papal Rome. So I want to suggest that it's not papal Rome. If we go to Daniel 2, who is the gold? Babylon. So that Babylon here is this Babylon here. Silver is Medo-Persia. We've got that there. In fact, if you go to Daniel, it actually mentions Greece in the book of Daniel, which is the next kingdom. So we've got Greece number 3, Greece number 3. And iron is Rome. And people are going to say pagan Rome. We've got that there. So we've got head of gold. We're in this portion here now. We'll put the arrow. Head of gold is Babylon. That's 32 and 39. Chest and stomach, silver and brass. Which is number 2 and number 3. Medo-Persia, Greece. 33. The legs are iron. We said that's pagan Rome. Verse 40. The feet are the same material. Iron. We said iron was pagan Rome. Therefore, in the feet must also be pagan Rome. So when we come to this question, Revelation 17, let's list the kingdoms. Number 5 is the feet, iron and clay. It still must be pagan Rome, not papal Rome. The papal element in that history is what material? According to Daniel. The clay, good. So if we can see that the papacy is the clay, the church, the woman, you know that the government Number 5 is still pagan Rome. So, pagan Rome, same kingdom, comes in how many parts? 2 parts. Number 4 and number 5. Then we have number 6 and number 7. Without proving it, I'm going to put an arrow here, which is pointing to the gap, or the gap between 5 and 6, or the end of 5 and the beginning of 6. And what date is that? What event is that? Good. I'm at the end, and it's 1798. And we've got 2 more kingdoms to come. And this is where Ellen White made a mistake. And the Millerites and the Adventists. Because in the 1880s, Jones and Wagner, they think there is going to be a Catholic charismatic attack upon the United States. Catholics are trying to complete their mission, taking over the world, rising up the power again. They tried, but it didn't work. So I'm not saying that they didn't try to take America. I suspect they did. We know at the time of the end, not that one, but the 1989 one, the papacy goes into an alliance, an agreement, which the world called the Holy Alliance. With whom? The United States, to try to destroy the Soviet Union. Let's call it Russia. This is I'm going to call it the second time, but it's not the second time. It tried attacking Russia before World War II. It failed. World War II didn't use America. It used Germany. Ellen White will tell you, Revelation 13, verse 11. We're back here. The beast that rises up out of the earth, tell you when it happens. Time of the end in 1798. So we have pagan Rome, 4 and 5, in 2 parts. And then we've got 2 kingdoms to deal with afterwards. Ellen White's going to teach. Number 6 is who? USA. Number 7 is who? She's going to call it the papacy. You can see the papacy is going to rise up and take control of the world. And this was wrong. USA was correct. In Revelation 13, it says, the beast that comes up, that arrow means up, out of the earth, is a lamb, then a dragon. And it says it's a lamb that speaks like a dragon. I'm going to say it's one kingdom in two parts. Part one and part two. Same kingdom. This part one and part two that we have here is the sixth and the seventh kingdom. So we'll do sixth and seventh. USA, USA. And that's why the beast that comes out of the earth is still alive. Because that beast, in its dragon phase, phase two, that is the seventh kingdom of Bible prophecy, which is the kingdom that goes to make war against the saints. I hope that answers that question. Question 3. 5 minutes. Let's see if we can do this. What is the difference between the heads and the beast in Revelation 17? The difference. So at the most, let's go to the verses first. Go to Revelation 17. Revelation 17, verse 3. The angel carried me away into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a beast with 7 heads. So we have a beast with 7 heads. So the woman is sitting on the beast. We're clear on that. Gives a description of the woman. And it also then begins to tell us about these heads. So let's have a quick look at that. So let's look at verse 9. The 7 heads are 7 mountains upon which the woman sits. So in verse 3, it says the woman sits on the beast. And in verse 9, it says the woman sits on the heads. And it says the 7 heads are 7 mountains. You could do a study on mountains. And mountains are what? Kingdoms. Yep, kingdoms. Verse 10, I connect verse 10 with verse 9. Some people say it's not connected. I believe it is. It says there are 7 kings. Those 7 kings are the 7 mountains, are the 7 heads. So the woman sits on the beast, one of them, sorry, the one beast, and she sits on the 7 heads. At the most basic level, the beast equals the head. They're the same thing. So the question was, what's the difference between the beast and the head of 17? And the answer is no difference. They're just kingdoms. That's the simple answer. But there's a more subtle or complicated or accurate. Subtle, complicated, accurate. It takes quite some time to prove this, but what I want to say is the following. There's one beast and 7 heads, but the reason it describes it this way is because it wants to explain 2 concepts: continuity and change. So you know that sometimes we say the world has changed a lot. People are very different. But we know the world really hasn't changed and people aren't any different. So what Revelation 17 is trying to teach us is the following. We know that this animal is bad. We could say it's a representation of Satan's kingdom. We could demonstrate that from Revelation 12. The dragon of chapter 12 is the same as the beast of 17. In chapter 12, it tells you that it's Satan. Ellen White will tell you it's not literally Satan, it's Satan's agents on earth. So we have one empire, let's call it an empire, that for thousands of years has been fighting against God. That empire, through the centuries, changes. its appearance as the world modernizes, becomes more sophisticated. One empire, one beast. Different manifestations of that empire, seven heads, seven kingdoms. So that's why there's 1 and 7. Trying to show us that at its foundation, it's the same empire, but that it just looks different through history. In Daniel 2, it's one statue, that's the one beast, different materials or body parts, different kingdoms. So, to answer the question simply, a head in parenthesis, when the beast is dead, which I won't explain, is a good kingdom. A head when the beast is alive is a bad kingdom. So the difference between a head and a beast, you think of beast as bad, head as good. I'm not trying to say the head is always good. If we read carefully the passage, we will see that at one point in time the beast dies. And at that point, this kingdom is good. When the beast is alive, this kingdom is bad. This is Satan's kingdom. Remember all of this. Maybe we want to use a different term and say the statue is the kingdoms of this world and the mountain is the kingdom of heaven. So sometimes we might call it the kingdoms of the world, sometimes we might call it the kingdom of Satan. Either way you want to say that, the land beast. Okay, so the beast that comes out of the earth, Revelation 13. Need time? In its lamb phase, we think that's some kind of connection to God, but it's the statue. We could argue that it's Satan's kingdom. And what's on the board, it's the only time in history, the history that we're given, when the beast is dead But Satan's kingdom, or the kingdoms of the world, is still in existence. And that's why it's good. So I'll do the same. I'll lay out the same information in a different way. 7. We have 7 heads. In the first history, we have a beast. And we have the same in the second and the third. All the way to number 5. When you get to number 6, there is no beast. The beast is dead. Number 7, the beast resurrects and comes alive again. That results in the following. It results, number 1, the first mountain, the first kingdom. Beast is alive, and this is a bad kingdom. Number 2, second head, second mountain, second kingdom. Beast is alive. It's a bad thing. Same with the third, fourth, fifth. When you get to number 6, the 6th head, 6th mountain, 6th kingdom. The beast is dead, and it's a good kingdom. 7, it's bad again. That's the difference between the beast and the head. The imagery or the symbology is trying to teach us a couple of things. One of them is continuity. The single empire going through different histories. That's the head and the beasts. The second thing it wants to teach us, when you have a beast, bad things happen. To the church. When the beast is dead, there is peace, and the church can flourish. And when the church flourishes, the people of the world reap a benefit. And when the church is persecuted, the people of the world reap the woe of that as well. So, in summary, simply, beast is bad, head is good. So they're the 3 questions I received. I hope I answered them to your satisfaction, and maybe with a bit more information. Help your understanding. I want to thank everybody who joined us online. We'll close with prayer. And I don't know if we want to pan the camera afterwards so that all our friends online can see you all and you can say hi to them. Let's pray. Holy God, we thank you for your goodness and mercy. We pray that you might guide, bless, and direct us as we try to understand things that may seem simple and straightforward, to know for sure the answer to simple questions. We need a foundation, a grounding in these truths. It's my prayer that each of us, in our individual capacity, will learn these truths, and therefore these answers will make sense and bring peace and comfort to us, so that we might not be seduced, so that we might know the difference between heads and beasts. Please guide and direct and bless. In Jesus' name. Amen.